Zoho Books, where do we post it, what do we do next, and how does it work? So I've assumed that you've downloaded a payroll journal from your payroll software, and it might be an Excel format, for example. If you haven't done that, there is a process of creating manual journals manually and kind of creating all of that from payslip information, but it's probably a bit complex if you don't know payroll. From the main dashboard in Zoho, you go to the accountant module and then you go to manual journals. Now, this process, if you've got a weekly payroll, you might have to do this weekly. If you've got a monthly payroll, you do it monthly, or annual payroll, etc. You could, in theory, only do this, using the annual information and do it once a year. But if you want your profit and loss to track the monthly movements in your salaries, etc., then you're going to need to do this monthly. Okay, so let's assume that this payroll journal here is what I've downloaded from my payroll software. We'll go through this together now and how to upload it. One thing to start off with is you may not have all these account codes set up already in Zoho, so I'm going to have to show you how to go into the chart of accounts now. Okay, so the screen might be a bit squashed because I'm trying to keep it all on the same page, but chart of accounts. What are we looking for in Zoho? So my payroll system may be calling something different to what Zoho's calling. So if we for example, look for salaries, in Zoho, their standard account code for gross pay is actually salaries and employee wages, for an example. To avoid confusion, I'm just going to change this to what I want it to be called in the accounting system. Employer, I can't see any account code for employer's pension or employer's national insurance, so I'm going to create these now. When you create these account codes, the account type needs to be an expense because I want it to be hitting the P&L. Now I've created those. I'll do the same process for seeing if there's any PAYE. So there's not a PAYE account. I'm surprised because I did think there was something relevant to this. No, I don't see there is. So that's not a stock account code in Zoho either. So this one for PAYE payable, my payroll system in this instance hasn't actually called it PAYE payable, so I might just change that. This is a liability account, so I'm going to put it under other current liabilities. So it's not an expense because I want this to hit the balance sheet. Right, so next, what have we done? We've done all the P&L account codes. So we've done employer's pension, employer's national insurance, which is there twice, but we'll go through that again. There's a reason it's there twice. So the final one which we need to create, and we've done obviously PAYE payable, the final one we need to create is wages payable. Again, this is wages payable, so it's on the balance sheet. So I want it to be a other current liability account type. I'm going to create that. Great, so obviously you're not going to need to do that every time you post a payroll journal. It's just first time you start. You're going to need the account code set up to post to. I'm now going to go post a manual journal. I could download an import file here, get the template for the manual journal for Zoho, remap the columns to what I've downloaded from my payroll software, and then upload it. Alternatively, my payroll software may even have a Zoho specific payroll journal export that you can use. So yeah, but in this instance, I'm going to create it manually. So the new journal is going to be on the date I've downloaded from thing. So in this instance, it's in this example, the journal is going to be posted on the 28th of January 2021. Final account code we need to create is pension payable, but just before I do that I kind of want to address an intentional mistake on this journal. So you'll see before I had this as a P&L account code. I then had employees national insurance, and then this was sitting here as PAYE. So the employer's portion of national insurance, both pension and national insurance, they do hit the P&L. So I wanted to make a point of the fact that they hit the P&L up here, but then we're also recording them down here. However, the credit side, or the bit where we want to record the liability against the balance sheet, you can't actually be putting these credits against the P&L again, because they'll just offset against each other and be zero. So what I really want to do is ensure my account code to HMRC has all the liabilities being recorded within them, so it's ready to go. So I'm going to change the name of this PAYE account code to PAYE and NIC payable. I'm then going to make sure that I have the appropriate account codes that are going to go to HMRC recorded with this thing. So employees national insurance, employers national insurance and PAYE is all going to go to the same account code. So you'll see here, here and here. So my total amount to HMRC is going to be the aggregate of these three values, which happen to be 45,800. So now I've done these, I'll highlight these green. The same thing needs to happen for pensions. So I've intentionally kept these split out, but this is kind of wrong. We need to be aggregating these two and recording them against a liability account. So I'm going to create a liability account called pension payable. So you'll see the total amount that's going to get paid to the pension scheme is going to be 9,000. The total amount that's going to be reported on the P&L is only the 5,000, which relates to the employer. The reason being, and the same thing relates to PAYE and NIC, is on the P&L, gross pay already includes the employee deductions, if you see what I mean. So let's say there's 100,000 there, and we've got an employee deduction of 4,000. That 100,000 already incorporates it, so it's already being reflected on the P&L. The only thing I have left to really do is make sure it's reflected on the balance sheet with the appropriate liability. So that is here. So these transactions here is going to represent the pension payable items. Now the final one, the wages payable. That's pretty self-explanatory, and I don't think there's any changes. Really, what I'm showing you now is actually what will be coming out of the payroll system if the payroll system's set up correctly. I've intentionally put the splits and put it to the wrong account codes to kind of show you how it's meant to be presented. But the idea is you're going to want to see gross pay, employers' national insurance, employers' pension hitting the P&L. The rest should really be liabilities hitting the balance sheet. Obviously, payroll journals get more complicated than this, but this is a basic demonstration of most payrolls are going to be this simple. Okay, so to come to post this manual journal, I'm going to go here. So accountant manual journals. I'm then going to put the journal date to be date of what I've got on my file. So I'm doing 28th of January 2021. This might be January 2021. Payroll, I might have a different reference. You might be posting multiple journals for the same payroll sometimes, but in this instance, I don't really need to make it complicated. So I'll start with the P&L account code. So I'm going to go employer's pension, make this page a bit bigger. And that employer's pension is being debited 5,000. We're then going to do employer's national insurance. Then we're going to go to gross pay. In these columns here, you could add HMRC as the contact. It's not necessary, but it's probably good to do so, particularly with Zoho Books, because there's loads of sophisticated reporting you can do out the back of it. So normally it's probably a good idea to do so. And the same thing with the description, you probably want to put a bit more detail in these, but if you're posting and uploading it via a spreadsheet, you probably have more time to do some of that. So what's the next ones? Now we're going to be recording. If you remember, I actually changed the name of these. These were originally called, this one was Employers National Insurance. But I'm putting it just to a liability account now because I'm tracking the liability. So this is the employer's national insurance element, which was the 13,800, and then the employee's national insurance element of 12,000 is also being recorded as a credit entry. It should be a liability. Employer's pension up here. The credit side is going to be put to pension payable, and that is 5,000. But then the employee portion also needs to be put to pension payable. Next, we had PAYE, so this is the PAYE payable deducted amount, which I never changed at the beginning in the first place. PAYE and NFC payable. I've got 20,000 there. And then the final liability, which I'm going to post, is wages payable. So this is 64,000 going to here. So what's happened here, this is, I posted my January payroll. It's now all balancing. If there's a difference here, you're not going to be able to post it. So there's going to be a difference in the maths. You may have screwed up some of this aspects here, and that's obviously going to need to be investigated. Now, I could say this is a draft, but in this instance, I'm just going to publish it straight away. You can go back and void journals and delete them, etc. So this is now a template. Just to reiterate, this is probably going to have to be done every month if you're running a payroll, externally. So what's happened here is, if I go to the profit and loss account, I'm going to see if I go to that particular period. So I'm going to go to custom. I'm going to change the period to 1st of January. I'm going to change that to the 31st of January 2021, so that I think that works now. Cool. So you'll see my profit and loss statement has nothing in it, but it does have these items that I've just put. So they've gone through as an operating expense, and they're split out. In the chart of accounts, you can actually group all of this stuff. So you could probably turn all three of these into a sub account, and then they sit under, I don't know, staff remuneration or some parent account code if you just want to make it look nicer. We have the balance sheet. So, I mean, the balance sheet is obviously going to come up at any point in time, but essentially we've recorded these liabilities. So to avoid confusion, I'm actually going to change the date. 31st of January 2021. On that date, I posted the payroll journal, and what am I going to have? It's going to create a bunch of liabilities for me. So I've got the 45,800, that's the aggregate of my employees' national insurance, my employer's national insurance, and the PAYE payable. I've then got my pension, which is employee and employer pension, the aggregate, and then I've got my net wages. So Zoho Books is now expecting these liabilities to be paid off somehow. In the UK, pensions, the statutory deadline is the 19th of the following month, and that's the same with HMRC. Pensions tend to get taken quicker, way before the 19th, so the money can get invested quicker, whereas PAYE and NIC, people tend to make a bank transfer to them, on the 19th of the following month. Employee wages, you're normally going to pay them before the end of the month, right? So whilst in this instance, because I haven't done any banking transactions, I'm not paying off this liability yet. But if I subsequently go through the banking module, and we can show you how to do that another time, on the 31st of the month, it's probably been paid off already. So if I looked at the bank account, wages payable should probably be zero at this point in time. However, if your actual payday might be the 5th of the following month, but you post the payroll journal on the 31st, then it will be sitting there as outstanding until I get to the actual payday where it gets put off.